Alright my people, we're back with another video. It's gonna be a pretty fun one for me today because I get to talk about my favorite Pokemon of all time, the greatest Pokemon of all time, Flygon. Now, today's video is going to be discussing buffing my favorite Pokemon, and the first video of this series is going to be discussing my favorite Pokemon, Flygon. Now, Flygon's competitive career hasn't always been the best, but is not a pretty bad Pokemon by any means. It's never been below NU in its life. So overall, it's had a pretty decent competitive career, especially in its first two generations where it was a solid Pokemon in ADV OU and DPP OU. Now, buffing them up to pseudo legendary level, it keeps the constraints of the buffs that I want to give the Pokemon I'm going to be talking about now and in the future. You know, it stays consistent, you know, like I'm not trying to make them paradox Pokemon or min-max them by any means. But yeah, we're going to be discussing how to get Flygon's base stat total from 520 all the way up to 600. Now, before we get into this video, if you guys do enjoy this video, let me know down below what you guys think of this series, or if you have any specific Pokemon you want me to talk about. But for now, my aim is to obviously just talk about my favorite Pokemon in the series, regardless of their competitive viability, whether they have any competitive viability or not. And Flygon is obviously going to start it off, you know, it's the mascot of my channel, for crying out loud. So yeah, we're going to be doing that first. Now, if you guys are unsure of what the pseudo legendary Pokemon are, let me just quickly remind you. It's a term that us Pokemon fans use to describe basically any the Pokemon of each generation that have a 600 base stat total. Now, there's other, you know, requirements to be included in this group, such as the experience rate of XP being slow and having a 3-stage evolutionary line. Now, Flygon obviously fits the 3-stage evolutionary line, but doesn't fit the 600 base stat total or the experience group. So obviously it's not pseudo legendary, and we all know that. But you know, the goal of this video is to try and get up to there. And you know, I'm starting off with a pretty relatively high base stat total for a non-legendary Pokemon. 520 is not bad by any means. It's obviously being power creeps now, especially if you look at Flygon's stats. Like 100 attack isn't what it used to be, and 100 speed also isn't what it used to be, and it still just has average defenses at best. So how did I get Flygon up to 600 base stat total? I obviously have to add 80 points to 520 to get there. So where did I put all of Flygon's points into? Now, without further ado, let me show you the new and improved Flygon with 600 base stat total up to pseudo legendary level. Now, we got Flygon here with 600 base stat total, and obviously you can see the attacking stats have been buffed up significantly. Now, Flygon gained a 30 attack boost here from 100 to 130, as you can see here, and then its special attack got a whopping 50 increase, which obviously gets us up to 600. Now, the reason why I didn't really focus on any of Flygon's other stats were just because of the fact that, like, Flygon's not really supposed to be a bulky Pokemon by any means. Like, there's nothing that's never really indicated that it's a bulky mon. Like, he's run bulky sets in throughout the generations, whether that's in Oras RU, Gen 7 RU, even in BDSP UU, for example. But, you know, I was just like, I don't really need to increase Flygon's bulk. Like, it's not a frail mon, but it's not like super bulky. So I was just like, where am I going to focus the stats? I also don't want it to be that fast. Now, it would be very easy for me to just up Flygon's attack and speed and just call it a day, but that's just kind of boring. I thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, yo, I could make Flygon really interesting here. Now, I'm going to tell you guys some reasoning why I buffed Flygon's special attack stat to be the same as its attack stat. Now, Flygon is known as the Desert Spirit, the Elemental Spirit, and, like, you know, I'm going off of Dex entries here, but when I hear the word Elemental, that, you know, gives me special attacking vibes, just because of the fact that before the physical special split in Generation 4, you know, pretty much all the elemental typings were special attacking options. Now, if we go back to Gen 3 as well, where Flygon was introduced, Dragon was a special attacking type back then, but Ground was not. But regardless of that, let's say Flygon had this stat spread in Gen 3, it would be absolutely broken with this stat spread. But, you know, you could attack on the physical side with, you know, Earthquake, and you could attack on the special side with, you know, I think the Dragon Pulse was not a move back then, Dragon Claw. So you'd have options like Outrage and Dragon Claw back in Gen 3, and, you know, it could attack on both sides of the spectrum. Now, you know, Gen 3 is not shy away from, you know, making mixed attackers. Gen 3 was the introduction of many mixed attackers into the franchise, such as Blaziken, Sharpedo, a Crawdon, Cacturn. Like, a lot of these mons have equal attacking stats, whether that's Cacturn with 115 or even Sharpedo's 120 attack to 95 special attack. Like, there's not that much of a difference between the attacking stats. But yeah, so I wanted to, you know, kind of pay homage to Flygon's debut generation and his dex entries as well. So that's why the special attack got a massive increase. Now, the reason why I wanted to make Flygon just kind of this you know, mixed attacker mon with pretty high attacking stats, even by Gen 9 standards, 130 in the attacking stats is not bad in the slightest. But the reason why I wanted to give Flygon both of these is just because of the fact that you have to somehow differentiate this mon from Garchomp. You know, Garchomp, a gen after Flygon was released, came out with this stat spread, was also banned from you know, Gen 4 OU because it was too broken. And the thing is, ever since Garchomp was introduced, Flygon has kind of just been in its shadow. Obviously, we've had another Dragon Ground type in Zygarde, but you know, Zygarde's a legendary Pokemon, and you know, trying to compare Zygarde complete to the likes of you know, Garchomp and Flygon is not really a fair comparison, is it? So you know, Garchomp has always been Flygon's main competition. The moment Flygon even came back, well, not Flygon, Garchomp came back in Generation 5 OU, you know, like Flygon basically didn't exist in OU at that point. It was still good in Gen 4, and obviously, like, even if Garchomp was somehow remaining in DPP OU, Flygon would still have some good traits to his name, like its spikes immunity and its resistance to Stealth Rock in Gen 4 to warrant using it, and also having U-turn, which Garchomp lacks. But you know, post Gen 5, Flygon has never really seen OU again just because Garchomp exists. So obviously, in my head, I was just like, Flygon has been taking so much slander since Generation 5. Everyone says Garchomp is a lot better than Flygon. Well, this changes everything, doesn't it? Now that they're sharing the same base stat total, there's actually more reason to use Flygon over Garchomp, for example. Like, no one will really know what your Flygon's going to be doing, you know, whether you're going to get hit with a Choice Specs Draco Meteor coming off of 130 attack. This is also the same attack stat as a Latios, for example, and you also have a pretty solid stab move in Earth Power and coverage in Fire Blast, for example. So, you know, Flygon has the special attacking tools to, you know, succeed. It also has Boom Burst for some reason, so even in Generation 9, if you get hit with, you know, a Terra normal Flygon with Boom Burst, Throat Spray, like, there could be a lot that Flygon could potentially do. And like, it's not even that crazy as well, because it still has 100 speed. Like, it's still not that fast. There's still a lot of mons that can outspeed it, but 100 is still a pretty good base mark to have, and is not gonna be completely outclassing Garchomp in the offensive role as well, because Garchomp has Swords Dance, which Flygon lacks, and it also has 2 higher base speed, and you know, can synergize better with a Scale Shot, for example. So yeah, I think I've done a decent enough job of differentiating Flygon from Garchomp here, for example, and you know, this would be a pretty fun pseudo legendary to use. I can't like, again, if I try and speculate what tier I believe Flygon would be in with this stat spread, I don't know if it would be in NU. I'll say that. I don't think it would be in NU, but, you know, I don't think it would be OU either. Like, 100 speed is still something to, you know, get around with. But, again, remember, Flygon got Dragon Dance in Generation 7. So, having a Dragon Dance Flygon with 130 attack, that would be pretty amazing to see, in my opinion. But, yeah, in terms of Flygon specifically, this might not apply for the rest of the mons that I want to talk about in the future, but, you know, like, I was thinking of, you know, potentially getting them up to even more pseudo legendary level, you know, giving them better move sets and stuff like that. But Flygon basically has all it needs with this stat spread. It has the special moves, it has the physical setup options, it still has its move sets, you know, in Earthquake, Outrage, U-turn on the physical side. But you know, obviously Flygon lost Roost and Toxic, like a good amount of Pokemon did, especially in regards to Toxic. But, you know, like, it doesn't necessarily need Roost. It would obviously help its, you know, support sets a lot better if it still had like Defog and Roost, for example. But, you know, Flygon can make a new identity for itself, especially if this hypothetical Flygon existed in Generation 9. And it would just be a much stronger Pokemon for it, and it wouldn't be stuck in NU. So yeah, that will be it for talking about Flygon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you think my buffs are too crazy, I personally don't think they're that crazy. You know, like 100 speed in Gen 9 is still not that crazy. So 130 in the offenses can hold it back quite a bit. But, you know, it has some mixed attacking options. It has some variety to its game. And I think I would really enjoy having a Flygon like this, you know, if it ever got buffed in this way. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.